Uddhava was in such a transcendental position, and thus he was selected to be the factual representative of the Lord in his bodily absence from the vision of the world. Such a devotee of the Lord is never affected by material strength, intelligence, or even pronunciation. Um, Such a devotee of the Lord can withstand all onslaughts of material nature, and therefore he is known as Goswami. Only such Goswamis can penetrate the mysteries of the Lord's transcendental loving relationships.
Oh, we didn't read the Sanskrit. I'm sorry. Yeah. No dhavo vapi manyuno yagune nadita prabhu ato man vayunam lokam gahayan ihatishtatu no dhavan vapi manyuno yagune nadita prabhu ato man vayunam lokam gahayan ihatishtatu. Na, not, Uddhava, Uddhava, Anu, slightly, Api, also, Mat, to myself, Nunaha, inferior, yet, because, Gune, by the modes of material nature, Na, nor, Arditaha, affected, Prabhu, master, Ataha, therefore, but Vayunam, knowledge of me, the personality of Godhead, Lokam, the world, Grahayan, just to disseminate, Iha, in this world, Tishtatu, may remain. Uddhava is not inferior to me in any way, because he's never affected by the modes of material nature. Therefore, he may remain this world in order to disseminate specific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. So the context of the story, there's a story of how this conversation is actually between Krishna Uddhava and Maitreya. So Vidura's meeting with Maitreya comes after this. But the story of how these great personalities met to where we are right here, right now, is very beautiful, deep, and satisfying to the heart, because these interactions between the devotees are very sweet, very nourishing. And there's many actually beautiful pastimes, many significant pastimes with Uddhava in the Bhagavatam. This is one, because the Uddhava Gita is in the 11th canto. This is a very small portion of Uddhava. And then there's another one, very famous pastime of Krishna speaking Uddhava Gita to Uddhava, and then Uddhava being sent to Vrindavan, and being the very, very, very close associates of Krishna, realizing the amazing glories of the Brajavasis in Vrindavan. And he was considered to be the greatest lover of Krishna outside of Vrindavan. And then he felt so humbled seeing the amazingly intense love the Brajavasis had for Krishna in Vrindavan. He was very humbled by that. This is actually a very important point, that our barometer as devotees, as we practice path of bhakti, we start valuing and appreciating in a different way. If you're in a sangha of jnanis, they appreciate each other on the amount of scriptural knowledge they may have. But in the association of devotees, the appreciation was just around the love. So Uddhava felt the Brajavasis is greater than him because he only valued loving Krishna. That was his value. The basis, his value set, right? His love. So you'll see this, that devotees, no matter what opulences they have, either be fame or power, beauty, they don't really put so much importance to that. They always see through the lens of love. You are greater than me because your love is greater than mine. Even though I may have other opulences. So this story, this pastime with Uddhava, there's many lessons to be learned. When Vidura approached him, so just before this, Uddhava actually was meeting Krishna. And this is a very beautiful description of Krishna in the Bhagavatam, how he was sitting and his back was resting against a banyan tree. And this was after the entire Yadu dynasty was annihilated, destroyed. And he was just smiling, in ecstasy. And Uddhava saw him in that position. And actually, it's mentioned previously that his foot was injured. But when Uddhava saw him, his description of Krishna, he didn't actually notice that. He didn't see Krishna with an injured foot. He just saw his beautiful complexion and the ornaments in his dress and his facial expression. But he did not notice anything. For those of you who don't know, the pastimes, that there was a hunter who was shooting and aiming for a deer, and he thought Krishna's heel was a part of the deer. So that's how the story goes, and that was Krishna's excuse to leave the world. And the Acharya say that this is Krishna's way of bewildering the non-devotees, thinking that Krishna is an ordinary person. Krishna says, Ye tamam prapadyante tam satayva bhajamiham. As you approach me, I approach you. So for those atheistic personalities or non-believers or faithless, they see Krishna as an ordinary person. He's just a personality in the history books. And so Krishna says, okay, if that is what you believe, I will do whatever I can to encourage you in that belief system. And he creates this story of a hunter shooting his foot and being injured and leaving the world on that pretext. But then for a devotee, that same exact pastime, he sees it in a totally different light. He sees that Krishna is so amazing, he's so merciful, that if you want to forget him, he will facilitate you to forget him. See how merciful he is. He reciprocates with every desire of yours. And the devotee is also seeing how beautiful this is, that he gets shot with an arrow. And the scene is just so beautiful. Just like the Bhishma Dev on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna was saying the piercings of the arrow, like the throwing of flower petals on his body. Krishna has this virya ras, right? He has this desire to fight, so it's actually enjoyable for him to get punctured by these arrows in the middle of the battlefield. So the devotees, they see the same exact thing in a totally different way. They don't see any fault. And it's just an ornament, actually. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, any fault you can find in a devotee or in the Lord is actually from the eyes of a devotee, Pramanjana Charita Bhakti Vojana. The eyes are smeared with the salve of love. Any apparent fault is actually an ornament. The Lord. So Krishna was meeting with Uddhava, and they had this beautiful exchange. And Maitreya Muni came. He is a Jnana Mishra Bhakta. Does everyone know what that means? Jnana Mishra Bhakta.
Does it mean that his devotion is mixed with attachment to knowledge?
Yeah, precisely, yes. And Mishra means mixed. So Jnana Mishra Bhakta means he was a devotee, but he was mixed with knowledge. And this is not the highest platform, right? Because we learned from Rupa Goswami that Haitukam means that should be unconditional love, and it should be uninterrupted. So when you have a condition that my taste, my bhav, my emotion, my love is dependent on knowledge, then it's a condition. Actually, another type of condition is loving Krishna only if he's God. Have you ever heard that before? Yeah, in Vaikuntha, the devotees, they love Vaikuntha Nath, Vishnu, but on the condition that he is God. But in Brajbhumi, the residents of Vrindavan, they love Krishna even if he's not God. And actually, they don't think he's God. And they still love him. And they only love him. They don't love anybody else. This is the real definition of unconditional. There's absolutely no condition to loving Krishna, including the condition that Krishna is God. That is the highest level of Prema Bhakti. And that is why the Brajvasis are able to love Krishna as a friend, as a parent, superior, as an older brother, as a lover. In Vaikuntha, they are unable to love Krishna in that way. because their love is conditional to Krishna being God. So, is it described beautifully how Maitreya Muni was sitting there, Uddhava was sitting there, and Krishna had a special glance to Uddhava. And Srila Prabhupada in his purport explains that the reason why Krishna was giving Uddhava this special favor is because of his pure love that's unadulterated with any other condition, any other motivation other than to love. And then shortly after that, Krishna disappears. And there's a beautiful, when, of course, and then shortly after that, Uddhava and Maitreya Muni, they separate. They're not too far apart, but shortly after that, Vidura, he's on pilgrimage. The story of Vidura, how he went on pilgrimage. He was, I don't know if everyone knows the story, but there's two brothers, cousins, Duryodhana and the Pandavas. They were arch enemies. They were actually, Duryodhana was enemies to them. And Vidura was supporting the Pandavas because of their righteousness and their qualities of their character. But Duryodhana, he was unable to see any good qualities in the Pandavas. And because Vidura, even though he was senior, he was an uncle. And back in those days, an uncle, well, a superior or a father, grandfather, even older brother, what to speak of father, even older brother was unworshipable. If you read the pastimes of Ram and Lakshman, Lakshman would touch his older brother's feet, massage his feet, and his whatever Ram said he would do immediately. So, in that culture, just the context of that, the way Duryodhana treated Vidura was just unimaginable. Unimaginable. He said, I will kick you out of the palace, leaving you only, not even the clothes on your back, not the helmet or whatever, any royal symbols. I won't even leave you, I'll only leave you with the breath, your own breath. That's it. Essentially what he means is, if you weren't my uncle, I would kill you. And because you're my uncle, I give you a concession. I take everything away from you, except your breath. So as a result of that, he went on a pilgrimage. He said, okay. That this is a perfect excuse to do. Was happy. It's like, oh, thank God. I can get out of this whole mess and just think about Krishna and meditate and visit the holy places and associate with the devotees of the Lord. He was very happy. Of course, he was very sad too. He felt so sorry for Duryodhana that he was so lacking love. So he was compassion there. He's also from Sanskrit to Dhritarashtra, his brother. So much compassion there as well. But at the same time, he was detached. And he went traveling around on pilgrimage. And he met Uddhava shortly after this meeting between Maitreya Muni, Uddhava, and Krishna. And Vidura, he actually, if you read the Bhagavatam, it's explained that Vidura actually heard already that Krishna left. But he was in a bit of denial. He just couldn't believe it. Well, he understood, but at the same time he couldn't. And so he was just, the emotions he was feeling was so intense, so concentrated. When he met Uddhava, he just went on and on and on. How is Samba? How are the sons of Krishna? How is Krishna's mom, Devaki, Vasudeva? He was just kept going on and on and on, like 40 verses, just asking about every single associate of Krishna and how they're doing. And but he knew, and he was, how's Krishna doing? And he knew Krishna wasn't, had already left. He still asked. And this is the bhav, right? And Uddhava, he was actually, after Vidura, went on and on and on for so many verses. Uddhava, he couldn't speak actually. He was so stunned. Just first of all, with Vidura not being there, he was already stunned to begin with because Krishna just left. And feeling the heartache, incredible heartache of separation. And then Vidura asking so much love and care and concern and just deep, deep separation. I mean, he was even more separated than Uddhava. It was just intensified Uddhava's emotions of that feeling of separation. And he literally could not speak. He could not speak. And it took him, actually, I don't remember how long it took, but it took him quite some time for him to regain composure. And finally, he was able to speak, and he just laid it out. He said, Krishna's not here. He's gone. He said, let's face the facts. Krishna's not here. And what's the point of living? Why are we here? Why are you here? Why is anyone here? Let's just, just in that mood of separation, he was just, they're both just immersed in that mood, that bhav, Vipalamba bhav. It's called Vipalamba bhav of separation. Actually, acharyas, this is a very important point. Our acharyas very consistently and unanimously, they emphasize this Vipalamba bhav over Sambhog, which is the mood of union. And in our scriptures, Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas especially, this is very emphasized, very much emphasized. And even Lord Chaitanya and his example, he was Krishna himself. He was Radha Krishna, Nahi Anya. He was none different from Radha Krishna. And what did he say to his close associates when he was here? He was never saying, oh, I dreamt of Krishna last night and we went on a rasa dance. And he never, ever said that. It was his entire life was in Vipalamba bhav, that mood of separation. And there's actually a very deep significance behind that. Because we should not ever aspire to, we should never be in the mood of feeling that we're with Krishna. So it's Lord Chaitanya is himself, his own bhav. It's like that. But it's also instructive. That's what our acharyas are saying. It's instructive to everybody that we should not focus on the mood of union. We should always stay focused on the mood of separation. Even Srila Prabhupada, one disciple asked Prabhupada, what is your prayer? And he says, I'm constantly praying that I don't fall victim to Maya. Srila Prabhupada himself said that. Prabhupada never was saying, oh, I dreamt of Krishna last night and I saw Krishna, during the deities, he was dancing with me. And he took me by the hand and he went to, Prabhupada, he was saying, I'm just constantly praying every moment that I don't fall victim to Maya. Lord Chaitanya said, my existence is fly-like. He compared himself to a fly. What's a fly like? A fly is attracted to stool, right? And the honeybee is attracted to honey. The fly is just, if you give the fly honey, maybe you'll go to honey, but I think he liked the fly like stool better. The fly will go straight to the stool and just be in ecstasy, enjoying that feast of stool, Lord Chaitanya said, I am so lusty, and my life is fly-like. I'm the Indian Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said that this sex desire, attraction, is like the attraction for a wet stool. So Lord Chaitanya said that. So, but this is his bhav. His love is so intense, right? So when we love so greatly, we feel ourselves so small. That is the nature of love. When our love is so great, we feel ourselves so small. And the reason for that is because the more advanced we become in Krishna Bhakti, the more we realize how great God is. Not great in just in terms of his Aishwarya Bhav, his opulences, but how great God is in terms of his Madhurya Bhav, how compassionate he is, how sweet he is, how friendly he is, how caring, how compassionate, right? So how great God is in every way. And when we appreciate how great God is, we realize how small we are. That is the lesson to be learned here. And when we are in the mood of separation, it's a very safe place. So Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj also says the same thing. That if we're always feeling, when will I see you, my Lord? Will I ever get to your lotus feet, my Lord? Am I ever going to get taste for the holy name, my Lord? Am I ever going to be, not enamored by these material, attractions in this world? It's a very safe place. We can stay humble. And a humble heart will never leave the process of Krishna consciousness. Did you have a question? Go ahead.
There will be some butterfly, like I know they can be like unsanitary because like it's underneath.
Mm.
But yeah, what were you saying about the fly? Like about
What was I saying about the fly?
yeah.
So Lord Chaitanya, have you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Indeed, so the last part, especially the Antya, Lord Chaitanya's mood of this separation with Vipalamma Baba was just very intense. So during that pastime, he said that he called himself, he compared himself to a fly. Because he said that if I had a drop of love, I would not be able to live a moment. The fact that I'm here, standing, breathing, and living, is testimony that I have not even a drop of love of God. Therefore, I am just like a fly, attached to this body because of my lust. This is the Lord Chaitanya, who's Krishna himself. You see, what to speak of us? If Krishna, Lord Chaitanya is feeling that way, we have no right to feel any other way. Unless who are we compared to Lord Chaitanya? Does that answer your question?
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Shishigornita.
I have a question about this paradox topic of devotees striving for union and at the same time separation. Krishna says, one who sees me everywhere and never seen me, I've never lost, and he is ever lost to me.
Mhm.
And at the same time, so many devotees who are, Prahlad Maharaj, he sees Nrsimhadev in the pillar, so, and then Dhruva Maharaj, he gets a darshan, and he spends the rest of his life after the darshan. Prabhupada always was in the mood of, I'm never separate from Krishna. So what's this paradox of how do we understand that the devotees strive for separation, at the same time they're never separate? Would you speak on that, please?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Did everyone hear the question? You're on use that microphone, so that's a very, very good question. So the short answer is that in separation there is meeting, right? So when we say we should be striving to go back to Godhead, right? We should be striving for Krishna's association. But even Srimati Radharani, when she's in Krishna's pastime, she's not happy. She is fearful. She's thinking about it's just a matter of time before Krishna is going to leave. And then I'll be in agony. How will I survive? Right? So when she is with Krishna, she is actually suffering because she's thinking about what happens when he leaves. Right? But then when Radharani is separate from Krishna, she's also suffering. When am I going to see Krishna? When am I going to meet Krishna? So the acharyas explain it so beautifully that there's actually no difference between separation and meeting. Because what is consistent in both moods is love. So Srila Prabhupada, when he was on the Jaladuta, all of his godmothers were celebrating Janmashtami, right? In there, Janmashtami, David, just imagine. And Janmashtami here is amazing. Just imagine in Vrindavan, how amazing. And he was separated from all of his god family. In the middle of the ocean, not a single devotee. And he said, because I'm following the order of my spiritual master, I am feeling his presence more on the Jaladuta than when I was in Vrindavan, surrounded by his godbrothers, the holy place of Raj. So there's actually no difference between separation. But for us, and Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj really stressed this, he said that if we are thinking we are with Krishna, there's every chance of falling down. And he said that is one of the major differences between Gaudiya Vaishnavas and the Appa Sampradayas, right? Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, major, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, during that time, one of the biggest hurdles they had was to dismantle this conception that bhakti yogis are sentimentalists, that Vaishnavas are just dancing Looney Tunes. That was Arya Samaj. During that time, the Arya Samaj was very big and very philosophical, very Upanishadic, Shastric, Gyanik, right? And so the Vaishnavas, those guys over there, they're just dancing around, fooling around, just going crazy, and they're just lunatics. So this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this was the landscape that he brought Krishna consciousness to. Just imagine. So the reason why Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj emphasized the mood of separation is because what separated the true Vaishnavas from those other people? The Sahajas were thinking, oh, let us go dancing and do Rasa Leela, and you can be my gopi, whatever, right? Right? And, I dreamt of Krishna, oh my gosh, and he was inviting me over to spend the night, and this is going on during that time. So Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, this is nonsense. He said, Lord Chaitanya. He said, when will I see Krishna? That's all he was saying. Krishnadas Kaviraj, 6 Goswamis. So when we see Krishna everywhere, and we feel like we're never separated from Krishna, right? That is the philosophical understanding. The mood is the mood of separation. That is, in our tradition, the mood of separation is actually more emphasized for many reasons. But philosophically, yes, we're never separated from Krishna. Krishna is everywhere. I see Krishna everywhere. But the mood, right, is the love, that the pangs of love, the ecstasy of love is actually heightened. It burns brighter in separation than it is in it. Does that answer your question? It is really the mood. It's not the understanding, right? So Radharani, the great devotees like Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, etc., Kishor Das Babaji, they understood philosophically that Krishna is with me all the time. that Krishna is everywhere, and and I want to be with Krishna, and I am with Krishna. But the mood, that love, the ecstasy, right? The bursting of the heart, the tears, right? The ecstasy is intensified when we're thinking ourselves separate. Does that make sense? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So how can this apply, or how can we apply this to like our prayers or our thoughts or things like that while we're doing our sadhana, especially as like neophyte devotees? Um, like, yeah, I'm just wondering what are like some more practical applications of this mood.
Praying is actually a very good way to practice mood separation. Saying, like, when we're separated from Krishna, we tend to pray more, right? We notice that when devotees are in distress, that they actually approach Krishna. When things are going good, when our material situation is comfortable, and we don't have any anxieties or any major catastrophes or crises, or you have a room, you have your bank account, you have your clothes on your back, you have your friends, you have a roof over your head, you have running water, you have a bathroom, whatever it is. You tend not to take shelter, right? So we tend to pray more, right? In your experience, when we're going through very difficult hardship, we tend to pray more. So you can try praying even when things are going good, right? If things are going great, inspired, and your japa is amazing, you're reading nicely every day, you're basic service, you feel fulfilled, you feel satisfied. Because keep on praying, saying, Krishna, I'm so grateful, that I'm in a good mood and I'm enjoying chanting and I'm enjoying being with the devotees and I'm enjoying serving you. But I don't deserve this. I don't deserve all these amazing things. But please, and I know at any moment I can forget you. Please, even when things are not going great, please help me. I never want to leave this path. The path is so amazing right now. I'm enjoying myself and I'm just loving it. Please don't take this away from me. Don't take it for granted. You should be praying, don't take this away from me. And I want to keep this forever for the rest of my life. So you can actually practice praying even when things are going great for you. That's practical. Praying is very practical. And also, reading and studying and appreciating the great devotees is a very good way to maintain this mood separation, because if we honestly take inventory and compare in a healthy way ourselves to the great souls that we read about in Bhagavatam, for example, there's no question that we are nothing, right? I mean, we shouldn't have an iota of doubt that we are beyond neophyte, the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of the beginners, right? We are nothing compared to Uddhava, Advaita Acharya, or Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada, right? And the more we read about the characteristics of these great souls, right, we can be honest with ourselves. We can actually take inventory. And we can say, honestly, that I have no love for Krishna, right? I can honestly say that I'm very far away from Krishna, right? So that's another way we can practice separation, is staying humble. We should actually stay humble. That we actually have no drop. Lord Chaitanya is saying, I have no drop of love. He has lots of love, but he's saying, but we can honestly say we have no love for Krishna, right? And it's not to be depressing, right? It's to stay humble, really. As soon as we are proud, everything goes away. Just even a drop of pride enters our hearts. it's just like committing suicide, honestly. It's worse than anything else. Pride. So this mood of separation is very conducive to maintaining that humility. Yeah. When we see the deities, are we seeing Radha and Krishna? Like, I know we understand theoretically, right? Are we seeing Krishna every moment? Right? There are great devotees like Lord Chaitanya who've seen Krishna everywhere. You know, Lord Chaitanya, of course, is Krishna himself, but many great devotees, but they're never thinking that I'm with Krishna. You know. So those are just some practical ways that we can. I mean, I don't know. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
I guess I guess I just have some confusion still. Maybe this is all just like gone over my head, which wouldn't be surprising, but like why like they obviously do have love for Krishna, these like acharyas and exalted personalities. But it's like it confuses me when they say that they have no love for Krishna, because to me it makes me feel like or I think about like honesty. Like it's like, why are you not telling the truth? Like you're an amazing. Of course you have love for Krishna. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's really boils down to humility. And whatever they have, it's not theirs. Actually, Jiva Goswami, I mentioned this in the previous class. So Jiva Goswami, in the introduction of Bhakti Sandarbha, he says that anything that we have is Krishna's, including love for Krishna, is not ours. And Jiva Goswami says that. He said the only credits that we can take is, he calls samukya, which is when we turn our head and say, okay, Krishna, I'm not going to look away anymore. I'm going to look to you. Other than that, nothing. Your ecstasy, your love, your service, your symptoms of ecstasy, your hair standing on end, your tears, your bhav, your knowledge, nothing, zero belongs to you. The only credit is, okay, instead of looking that way, I'm gonna look this way. That's it. Other than that, nada. It's all Krishna. Everything is Krishna. So the great devotees, they may be experiencing love, but that's not my love. That's your love. I'm just reflecting back what you've given me so much. You're so great. All I did is face towards you, and I have this amazing love. It's not my love, it's your love. I'm just giving it back to you. So the great devotees never, ever see themselves as anything significant. They always are thinking themselves the most insignificant. And the more they experience love, they think themselves even more and more and more and more insignificant. But the thing is that you don't want to get depressed, right? The reason why devotees can think themselves insignificant is because they see how Krishna is so significant. If you're thinking yourself insignificant and that's it, you'll be going to the mental hospital, right? But you have to have both. You have to see yourself as insignificant, and you have to see as Krishna as significant. If you don't have both, you'll become mentally ill. You'll become depressed. Does that make sense? You have time?
Okay, so wait, what we saying if you don't have both, like insignificant, then like just now, like the sentence that you just said, if you don't have both insignificance of yourself and insignificance of Krishna,
Yeah.
then what was the
Yeah, you have to have both. If you just are meditating on how lowly you are, and that's it, then you will become depressed. Yeah, it is a fact. We see many examples of that today. But that's why it's important to practice humility in an honest way. And don't beat yourself up if it's not natural. Right? You'll naturally become humble as you appreciate more. And as you realize Krishna more and more and more, and you realize how amazing he is, and how much and how lovable he is and how glorious he is, right? That is going to be the ingredient that fuels your humility, not your self-deprecation. Does that make sense? Gandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shruti Sagar Prabhu ki, Krishna House ki.
Verily,